pass past one of the best defenders in the world. There's nothing quite like it. But getting an intercept at a crucial time or contributing to an opposition error is also very rewarding. So at this point in time, I'll go with a crisp feed past top D. I'd have to say to date it was Natalie von Berto. I think she was just such a steady head. She was always a human backpack on defence, and she really controlled the tempo of the Australian Diamonds. Now that she's vacated, I think a real threat is Serena. I think she is very elusive on defence. She may feel as though she's not marking you, but she can travel a very long way to hit intercepts. So she's probably one I've got my little eye on. The support we get in New Zealand is phenomenal for our sport, and what is fantastic is we're possibly the top women's sport in our country, so we receive a lot of support from other codes and like organisations, so we're very, very fortunate. With the Super League starting to develop and the number of players from Jamaica and England that are making headway into the ANZ champs, you know, it's all information sharing and sourcing and bringing back. So it's inevitable that both countries will be getting stronger and creating depth. So yeah, you definitely do keep an eye on, you know, anyone in the top six just about. And I think certainly, particularly in this Test series, this is the time of year where England is very strong, very clinical, very accurate, and often make a statement. So yes, one eye open at all times.
Laura Langman there topping that chart in the #1 spot. Melissa, quite rightly so, deservedly so.
Oh, absolutely. And I suppose we're very lucky we have produced some amazing mid-court players, but Laura is something very special, and I think New Zealand are very lucky they've had her for a long time. She certainly doesn't look like she's going anywhere.
Tracy, what is it about Laura? What are her strengths? What are the qualities?
It was interesting how she was talking about herself. Centre is a really, really difficult position. You know, you've got to be running up and down. You've got to have like you've got to have an engine in you, and that is something that Laura had. I remember when I first saw her, she was playing wing defence, and she can actually play wing defence, centre and wing attack very, very effectively, and she doesn't look like a normal centre. What she does is she's there all the time. She was talking about Natalie von Berto, you know, very steady, doesn't give the ball away. That is Laura all the way, and that is one of her strengths. She gets intercepts when it matters. She loves to do that. She can get the ball into the circle, but she can keep ball, and possession is so key in netball.
Absolutely.
Well, New Zealand, they are such a strong squad, aren't they? But probably one of the areas of concern for them is that wing attack position. Who would you like to see in that spot?
Well, it's hard, and I suppose with some of the young ones that Wise brought along, you know, they've got a very hard. It's hard to fill after losing Temepara. You know, she's been one of the main players for New Zealand, and it's always been hard. I really don't know, but this is the perfect opportunity for Y just to have a look around to see which player out there is going to step up and fill those boots, so to speak. But what, you know, something that is very special that they're lucky is to have, you know, how special to play against Laura, you know, to have her there. And it's exactly what Tracy said. She's a quiet, she's a bit of what we'd class as a freak. And, you know, and she brings everything to the game, but she's also a great leader on court. She has great tenacity, she's very dedicated, but she has just a top quality. And, you know, I think it's going to be a nice tournament for Y.
And Anna, the wing attack position is something that England are really struggling with at the moment. So it's not just New Zealand who are actually, you know, you see with Jamaica with Nadine Bryan, how long has she been wing attack for? So it's an international problem.
Well, let's have a look now to see who New Zealand have gone for in that wing attack position. Any surprises there in their starting seven?
No, we actually expected these to start. It's actually quite exciting to see Jolene Henry back in the squad, you know, having come back from a baby. She come late back into the ANZ, and obviously Weil wanted to get her onto the international series because, you know, she was probably the kingpin. She was the Laura Langman when she was actually back playing, so I'm sure she'll want us to get back up to that as well.
OK, let's have a look at the opposition and see which Jamaican starting seven is. There we go. Is that who you're expecting?
No surprises there whatsoever. And it's going to be Fowler is just a machine. You know, we had the privilege of playing against her 2 nights ago, and my goodness, I tell you what, she is going to be a star of the series.
And the most valuable player out in the ANZ this year. You just, what we have to do is stop ball, get into her. That's what New Zealand got. You know, you can't talk about her anymore, so no.
Okay, well, make sure you stay with us, because coming up after the break, we'll be turning our attention to the shooting circle. We're going to see some superstars of the game in this. More on that coming up right after this break.
A Commonwealth Games three-peat. The last chance to wear the silver fern before they look to make history. Silver Ferns Jamaica, today live Sky Sport 2.
Every day, Sky Box Office and Sky On Demand offer you the biggest and best new release movies at your fingertips from $6.99 without ever leaving the couch.
The star player has just arrived.
You're my hero! What are you doing up there? I can't go back to jail!
Have fun, kids!
No cell phones. How about now? Oh, different story? Let's loosen that up.
Can't you see who this guy is? With his house, his parties, and his fancy clothes.
You really need to see this.
Welcome back to Wembley Arena, where tomorrow we have a real treat for you. England versus Jamaica. That's on Sky Sports 4 at 7 o'clock. Now, over the next 5 days, we're going to see some very different styles in play here at the Wembley Arena. And to talk us through some of those, Tamsin Greenway's at the Skypad for us.
Thanks, Anna. So the great thing we're going to see over the next few days is the different styles of play. And one of the places this is highlighted specifically is in the shooting circle. And we're going to take a look at all 3 shooters, because you have to remember, all 3 are world class, but they've all got their own take on how they play it. So we started here with Jamaica, and we're looking specifically at Janelle Fowler, who you can see under the post here, and where the feed is. Now, you have to remember with Janelle, she's 6'5". She's huge, okay? The reason the defenders are so far out is because that's the only way they can mark her, okay? They have to hope that the feed's in the wrong place, or they end up just swatting at flies. So we're going to have a look through. We're going to play this through for you. I want you to have a look at the height of the ball and where she's actually taking it. So as we play this through, it comes in real high. She's jumping right up and lands directly where she started from. If you keep looking here, again, close feed from the wing attack, quick release, straight up into the air. And again, just look at how Janelle's holding here, the body position she's got on the defender here, but how she's going to go straight up into the air, which is quite interesting when you start to look at the other shooters, because she ends up getting it quite high, and you can see this back defender flying in to have a real crack at that ball. So, on to New Zealand. We're going to have a look at Irene van Dijk, probably the best goal shooter in the world, and at 41 she's been around for a while. So, picking her up here. Slight difference with Irene is that she's only 6'3", so considered short. So what you'd notice here is Laura Geitz is actually able to mark on the body. She's actually able to stay on there because she's considered a little bit shorter. Now, the key to this is probably back in her early days, Irene would have played a bit more like Janelle, sort of that ball straight over the top, but she's had to learn to move into space, and this is really important. She's protecting this back space here. She can't get the ball above her head because this goalkeeper is too close, so she's had to protect the back space. So if we look at where the feed's coming in, okay, it's going to be really interesting as we play this through to see what she's doing. So she's getting, you know, body on body there from the goalkeeper. As the ball lifts and goes over the top, I want to stop just here. This is the key. Look at where she took ball and then look at this split landing. That is huge. Interestingly then, have a look at this foot. With 6'3" players, they've got big feet. So as she twists and turns, she gets real close to the post. So unlike Janelle, she's actually taken onto the ball, split landed, And as we have a look at here, and she twists it in, she gets really, really close under the post. Misses that one, gets a perfect rebound, gets the call against her, and this is why this lady is shooting 95% a game. You know, she rarely misses. So on to England, and finally we're going to have a look at Jo Harton. Now, Jo is considered the sort of shortest of the shooters at 6'2", and the difference with Jo is she's actually quite lean, so she can't play the holding game as well as the others. Jo is also a playmaker, so as we come into shot here, I want you to have a look at where Jo is taking it. Now, we definitely haven't seen Janelle Fowler out there. We rarely see Irene out there, but Jo likes to be out there. She likes to get control, get on the ball, and actually start to make things happen. So as we play this through, she's actually looking here for the centre court, but also for Pamela Cookie under the post. Now, Pamela Cookie is a quality goal attack. She loves to get in there. She loves to post up against defenders. She likes to take the post under the shot. So as I clear this and play it through, Jo's looking at the change, looking at what Pam's going to do here, and as she gets it, again, she takes that split, cuts off the defender, and is close to the post. A rotating circle can be really, really effective. When we move on to the next clip, you're going to see how it's all about the timing and the work rate together, but it means you don't have a target in there, so it has to spot on. So if I pause this here, again, I'm going to highlight Jo Harton. Okay, I want you to have a look at how much moving she's actually doing, and I'm going to highlight Pam because I want you to see what she's doing in terms of cutting off the defender. So we clear this and start to move it forward. They're moving away. She's looking for the ball as it comes through here. And we stop. She's looking to see whether she can drive this backspace. Pam is protecting this space, but remember, Pam's only 5'10" in there, so that high ball we've been seeing from Jamaica and New Zealand isn't necessarily going to go in. As we take this on a little bit, Jo realises this and comes out. Now, this is really important as I freeze it here. The shooter, the closer you get it to the edge and the more central you get it in these areas, the easier it is to feed in. This is the top of the circle. This is where feeders like to be, including shooters as well. As you get this, look at the quick hands from Jo. And it's absolutely brilliant. Straight into Pam, and she will be really, really disappointed with that. She should have had that nailed. It should have been right under the post. What's really, really important here is you've seen the 3 different styles. They can all be really, really effective, but we've also highlighted some of the weaknesses as well. So it's going to be really great to see how these 3 perform over the next few days.
Tamsin, she's pretty good at that, isn't she? Tracy, she's going to give your brother a run for his money, I think, there.
I think we all can talk passionately about our sport, and Tamsin did a great job there.
Did, yeah. Let's kick it off with Irene van Dijk, 41 years old, 6'3". Melissa, she is a powerhouse, isn't she?
She is, and she's been around for such a long time, and she just doesn't look like she's going to waver at all. You know, exactly what Tamsin was saying, she's got some great skills, and she does bring something very, very different. You can't move her. She may be very slight, but she cannot move her, and that split and the big feet helps because as she turns around, as Tamsin said, she does get closer to the goal.
And what about Janelle Fowler? I mean, probably the best shooter in the world, and rightly so. She's so consistent, isn't she?
Yeah, and it's where the actual game's going now. If you look at all the top teams in the world or in the ANZ, they all have a shooter as tall as, or nearly as tall as Janelle Fowler. She actually exuberates every other shooter in the world, and you know, she's unstoppable, and that is what really frightens any team because you only have to learn to feed her, and every other position is irrelevant, so you cannot get ball. Look at Tamsin pointed out there, she goes straight up. Normally shooters go into the backspace, which then defenders have a chance of getting. Janelle's not like that. She plays a completely different game to any other shooter, and that is what makes her, or potentially will make her, the world's best shooter.
And what about goal attacks, Tracy? A position you're familiar with. What about the combinations there?
I think what's really exciting about this tournament, you've got 3 different styles. For me, Maria Tataya should be higher up as the world best players, just because she's a different goal attack to anyone that we've seen over the last probably 5 to 10 years. She will shoot from anywhere, but it's the number of attempts that she's actually getting on goal and the quickness that she can release it as well. You know, shooters a lot of the time like to set the shot. She doesn't need to. She just gets the ball and shoot, and, you know, she's not feared of shooting. With Pam Cookie, you've got a different sort of shooter. You've got a high percentage shooter. She only shoots within the inner ring. And like Tamsin was saying, she likes to box out her defenders, get them short balls, play closer to the post. And obviously, you've got the Jamaican-style goal attack, and they obviously combine theirs differently, but they play very similar. They work on that really low release into that high shot or to that feeder. So they look as more as a wing attack position feeding to the goal shooter.
Okay, well, coming up after the break, all the action. It is New Zealand versus Jamaica coming up right on Sky Sports.
one of the world's greatest sporting rivalries.
It's outstanding from Australia.
Who are you supporting?
What a massive moment this is.
Australia-England, third ODI, Sunday live, Sky Sport 2.
From the critically acclaimed best-selling novel, it's masterful, moving, one of the best movies of the year.
Is just about to get underway, so let's hand over to our commentary team for this evening. It's Tamsin Greenway and Caroline Barker.
Thank you, Anna, and welcome to the best seats in the house here on Sky Sports. We're courtside to take you through the game. Tamsin Greenway, we dragged her away from that technology, all those gadgets. I'm sure she's got some more up her sleeve. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But the crowd noisy inside Wembley, trying to drum that atmosphere up. And whether you are a Silver Fern or perhaps a Sunshine Girl, you can be part of it too. You can get in touch with us via Twitter at Sky Netball. The likes of Tamsin and co will read those out throughout the match. We're heading into the national anthems now. First of all, we're going to go to New Zealand and Jamaica to hear those anthems. The crowd about to get on their feet. And here we go. We'll start off with the national anthem of Jamaica. So the formalities done and dusted. On to the business of the netball. Let's take you through those starting sevens. We'll start with New Zealand. In defence for New Zealand tonight, Leanna De Bruin, goalkeeper. Katrina Grant, goal defence. Jolene Henry, wing defence. Midcourt, Laura Langman, centre. Millie Lees at wing attack. Maria Tutaye at goal attack. And Irene Van Dyke, goal shooter. Pretty much as expected for New Zealand. Jamaica too, going with a team that probably was expected going into this test. Sasha Gay Lynch, goalkeeper. Goal defence is Melisha Kelly. She's the captain. Vangela Williams at wing defence. Paula Thompson at centre. Nadine Brown at wing attack. Tristina Harwood, big surprise player coming through the ranks at goal attack. And Janelle Fowler at goal shooter. Tamsin Greenway alongside me, and Tamsin, we looked at these teams beforehand and thought, yeah, there's metal in there, especially from New Zealand. There's strength and depth in their squad, but they put out the big guns tonight.
Yeah, and they've got to. It's the first game out here. They don't know what Jamaica really need to put out a strong team and see how they get on tonight.
And for Jamaica, can we see past Janelle Fowler? She's the one really that New Zealand needs to control.
She is the key, and honestly, if New Zealand don't get on top of her early, which they might struggle tonight without Casey Kapora, you know, it's going to be quite interesting to see how those two do at the back. But yeah, you know, she is a world-class shooter.
Here come the umpires onto the court as well. It'll be New Zealand to get us underway with the first centre pass. Someone so much expectation on. Laura Langman will get this test underway. Gary Burgess as well, one of the umpires there too. 27-year-old Laura Langman, and big expectation on her too, Tamsin.
Yeah, definitely. You know, voted #1 player in the world at the moment from the Guardian New Zealand newspaper, and rightly so. She's become a world-class player over time. And what's great about her is usually with the centre you have a defensive centre or an attacking centre. Laura is both. You know, she's not stronger or weaker in either area, and she leads this team so well.
Jamaica starting as we pretty much expected, is they get in their face and they've got the turnover and immediately causing trouble.
Yeah, sloppy play by Maria Tutaia though, and that's going to be interesting from New Zealand. They do have a tendency to do that. They're very relaxed, and sometimes they start quite like that. Danger is with this team, they start getting quick ball into Janelle Fowler. You suddenly become a few goals down.
I'm seeing from Janelle Fowler there, she doesn't have to leap, she just plucks it out with those long, rangy arms, but not as we expected. Expect her to put those shots away.
She is infallible, hey?
Aren't we all?
I don't think we'll see many of those misses tonight, but she deserves one, hey.
So New Zealand come away with the ball, and it's their quick transition that they'll be looking to really put the pressure on Jamaica early on, and a few sloppy hands we've seen at the start of this match. But there's someone under the post who quite rightly doesn't make a mistake. Irene van Dijk, what can we say about her? 41 years of age, spring chicken, and doing what she does best. Laura Langman just proving her worth with feeding that ball in.
Close on that. Interesting, Irene van Dijk coming out the circle so soon on that. I would expect her to stay in and post up a little bit, try and get these guys to react. Look, she's there, hands waving, but they're playing for that as well. So the feed has to be spot on. You know, it has to go when she's free rather than waiting, because Jamaica are so reactive. They're so quick and so rangy. They get onto ball.
The fast pass key for Jamaica, but feed is really key for New Zealand, and why Tamara, the New Zealand coach, this is what she'll be looking for.
Well, that's the ball. Do you see how quickly Millie Lee's got it on the edge and released it? She didn't wait, and it was instantly on, because there is that space there. If you hold on to it, Jamaica are looking to play onto it, so you've either got to give it first time or you've got to go somewhere else. See where she took that feed from.
Janelle Fowler was almost in Wembley Stadium taking that.
This is where they're going to be so dangerous. Okay, so the first couple of centre passes for Jamaica have actually been quite poor in terms of New Zealand keeping them up court, but when they're in danger, they've got the throw and hope pass that's going to go into Janelle all the time, and that was from the third line.
Almost seems to be a calmness about New Zealand, despite those couple of sloppy hands to start with. You expect them to get those scores, and they are ahead 4-1 a couple of minutes into this first quarter.
The thing is about New Zealand, they know they're going to turn over ball. You're going to have to look at things through this game. It's almost like a sea of black. They zone you, so they off-mark, they stand in the space, they make it feel like there's no options out there for you. In an attack, they're patient. They're not the quickest attack end because of Maria and Irene in there, but what they do is they bring their back players in, so their wing defence, goal defence, constantly up on the line, helping them get it in there, but sloppy hands again by Irene.
Jamaica will have the chance to come away with the ball again, and just looking for options at the moment, trying to make themselves known in the centre of the court. Paula Thompson, really one of the instrumental players for Jamaica, trying to mix it up, feed that ball in.
If New Zealand allow Jamaica to get to the edge like that, that ball will go in all evening. That's something they're going to have to address throughout the whole night.
Oberon Pisson, the coach of Jamaica at the moment.
Can I just say, that ball is not actually easy to feed either. You know, this is a one-handed pass, high lofted into the air. It has to be spot on with the feed. And, you know, that's something they have to work on. You have to be a quality feeder to be able to put that ball in.
You were talking about how to mark someone like Janelle Fowler before the match, and it is so difficult, but New Zealand's sitting quite tight to her at the moment, which is perhaps not what we expected.
I think they'll mix up as the game goes on. It'd be really interesting. Have a look at them now from the centre pass. They're doing a sort of 3-over, so they're making them take the ball up the court very high and wide, and they're trying to keep them up there. Arms straight over. De Bruyn there, you can see she's working the space, so she's sometimes coming around in front, she's sometimes coming around behind. She's making Janelle feel the pressure and actually take the ball further out in the circle. They just don't want her under the post the whole time.
She's found her range though, Janelle Fowler, and draws Jamaica level. But look at that from Maria Tutaye. That is what she's known for. The often spectacular, the long-range shots.
She is not afraid to put up a long bomb, and she will continue to do that whole game, and that is why the New Zealand circle is lethal.
Contact wing defence.
And they say it's a non-contact game.
Is when you're involved. Never a cleaner player, hey Tamsin?
I'm an attacker, we never do anything.
Always someone else's fault. Uncharacteristic again from Janelle Fowler there. Expect her to put those sorts of shots away.
Yeah, but she wasn't right under the post, and I think that's going to be the interesting thing. If New Zealand can keep them out, keep her out halfway and above, she won't score the percentages as you will see Irene van Dijk doing tonight.
Fast passing again from New Zealand, but not at all confident. There are those moments where you just think, oh, is that going to stick? And luckily it did then.
Great pressure there from Jamaica to come through. They were making New Zealand go back to the line, and that change of timing, at the moment they're just out of sync, so they're not working together, New Zealand. And because Maria Tutaye and Irene are in the circle quite early, it means the centre court have to do a lot of work out the front, and they leave themselves open for Jamaica players to run through. They are quick.
Approaching halfway through this first quarter, and level again, Jamaica level it. Sunshine Girls at the moment not giving the opportunities to New Zealand that New Zealand would have hoped. They're having to find a bit more space around the court.
Offside. Inside. Yes, goal attack.
Van Dijk under the post again for New Zealand to take them one ahead. It's a close old game.
Yeah, it will seesaw, and it will seesaw with shooters like this because they rarely miss. So if you've got somebody you can always pop the ball over to, you never really get a big lead. And this is why you've got to take the turnovers and the opportunities when you can. So it'll be interesting to see which team sort of draws first blood in that and gets sort of a 3 or 4 goal lead.
New Zealand centre. Manage obstruction wing defence. New Zealand this side.
A lot mentioned with Tristina Harwood going into this match, just 19 years of age, the goal attack for Jamaica. She's got a lot of responsibility on her shoulders, but Jamaica really looking to her heading into the Commonwealth.
Yeah, and you know they need to bring through their youth. If you look at their ages in their team tonight, there is a lot of young players in there. You know, we've got 21, 23, 23, and Harwood will actually say 19. When you play with someone like Fowler, you can actually gain so much confidence even as an inexperienced player because she helps you out. You know, you can put up the shots because you've got somebody that's rebounding, so it actually makes you feel so much happier as a goal attack.
Irene van Dijk under the post again for New Zealand, just drawing them out to 9-6 at the moment. And that's the thing, you've got there Maria Tutaye who can shoot from distance for New Zealand, and if it doesn't quite come off, Irene van Dijk under the post, making no mistake.
Goal attack obstruction.
Remember, if you want to get in touch with us throughout the game, you can at Sky Netball on Twitter. That's what Jamaica do well.
That was fantastic. Her coming through there, she read that so well in the timing on, but they're setting New Zealand up. New Zealand now are trying to change direction. We go end to end on this. New Zealand are trying to change direction, but they're not being clinical about cutting off the angles and cutting off the body, so they're leaving Jamaica to come through.
Goal attack.
Just around the rim from Tutaye. We haven't heard that much of the umpires in this. You mentioned it's a non-contact. We've had the odd shoulder jostle, but so far fairly clear.
Yeah, there's been no big hits, nothing major yet. I'm guessing as the game goes on, you can see both these teams are actually looking for the flying intercept, and the way they play, there's always going to be some hits on players because they are going to come through and get their timing wrong.
And that can often look spectacular on the court, but it's all important. They're those moments when you're in tight games that can really change it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to go for ball. There's no question about it. But there are times when you get it completely wrong. A world-class player, to me, can actually judge those moments and pull out when they need to.
Contact, goalkeeper off the player. Pass the shot. Where she is, please. That's it. Advantage goal.
Another one back for Jamaica. Tristina Harwood, a goal attack for Jamaica. Just really trying to work to find that ball as the centre class
Well, again,
before the sunshine goes.
When we talk about a 3 over, it means that centre, wing defence and goal defence all jump over the line and cause like a barrier in front of you. So it's really difficult for both of you to get out on the pass. It means you have to force the ball backwards, which gives New Zealand a chance to actually then have a crack on the second phase. And it puts the wing attack and goal attack under so much pressure the whole game. It's awful to play against a good 3 over.
Langman so crucial for New Zealand.
Little slip, maybe a push, who knows.
We'll blame a bit of sweat maybe on the court.
Yeah. I tell you what, Jamaica, when they're turning over ball, they're stopping New Zealand getting to the edge of the circle. The minute they're landing on the edge, it's going in so easily to Maria and to Irene because of the targets. But they've got to be smarter about how they work that ball down.
Laura Langman again at the centre of things for New Zealand. How's she working with Millie Lees at wing attack? Because this was the area that New Zealand really wanted to firm up heading into the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I think it's going to take Millie Lees a bit more time at wing attack. You know, she's not probably what they're used to after Timopara George and Liana Leota. You know, really powerhouses, strong, dynamic wing attacks. Interesting there, Laura getting held for 3 seconds. Lack of movement, but I'm surprised they're just not letting the ball go. They're getting caught in Jamaica being on the body and worrying about it rather than just putting the ball into space.
Those are the sorts of things at professional level netball they almost take for granted, aren't they? The being blown up for the 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's a frustrating one, and you won't see many of that through the game.
Advantage. Contact, wing defence, advantage was obstruction. No. New Zealand, that side.
Now you thought that might stick to Fowler then. If anyone was going to catch that, it would have been Janelle Fowler. But New Zealand come away with the ball again. The crowd inside Wembley just looking for perhaps a little bit of magic to get them going.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like we're saying, the ball sort of yo-yoing down and forward. What I'm impressed with at the minute is how Jamaica are penetrating through, using that wing defence and goal defence to bring that ball right up, to inject some speed into attack. I'd like to see a bit more flown out into the shooting circle. I think the timing's out. I think Irene van Dijk's moving quite a lot.
That's it.
Under 2 minutes left in this quarter. We heard from Wai Tuamaara that she said that there wouldn't be wholesale changes in this match like we've seen in the past 2 warm-up matches for New Zealand when they beat Scotland quite comfortably in the first match. Second match, not so. The number of changes she made in that. She really wants to try and cement this team as she heads forward through the Tri-Series.
They've got to, you know, 6 months out of a Commonwealth Games, they've got to look at what works. You know, you need to start understanding who your starting 7 is and give those players confidence. You know, even world-class players need to be playing against this kind of level. You don't get many opportunities.
And so key the way this has fallen as well with the Commonwealth groups and both teams being involved in the same groups, and England as well looking to test their mettle against both of these teams. We'll see them in action, of course, tomorrow on Sky Sports 4, the home nation.
Well, it's sort of a catch-22. You don't want to give too much away to the other teams because you're going to face them in 6 months' time in a real pressure situation, semi-finals and group stages. But you also need to have a crack at them to know what they've got.
Well, that was unexpected.
Well, that was that throw and hope. They had nothing else on because New Zealand had done such a good job shutting them down and keeping them high up. But she tried to feed it two-handed. It has to come off one hand high and up into that space. And they got punished for it.
New Zealand go 13-9 up in this first quarter. Under a minute of the first quarter remaining. And Tutaia, one of those players who you expect to put that away.
Oh, I think that's frustrating. You know, they had the chance to go 14-9 up, probably then going into the quarter with that sort of 5-goal lead, and luckily turn it back over. But again, that's through their court defensive pressure. But they need to make sure and get this comfortable lead so they can actually start opening up the game and playing. not with passes like that.
You would think Irene van Dijk, was that pressure there?
Was that a javelin arm, or I'm not sure what she was going on there, but
American
that's why
footballers
she's
on
better.
in town.
Well, she's better under the post, you see.
17 seconds left then of this first quarter, counting down to the end of the first quarter, and it seems to be New Zealand on top at the moment. That 13-9 lead, how they'd like this one from Tutaye to open it up before the break. 14-9 then the lead to New Zealand. A tough first opening quarter for them. Didn't have it their own way, but they have that lead. They lead Jamaica 14-9.
Commonwealth Games three-peat. The last chance to wear the Silver Fern before they look to make history. Silver Ferns, England. Tuesday live, Sky Sport 2.
This is our home.
It's extraordinary.
Clean and green.
Welcome to our place. It's fantastic.
Pure and simple, right?
That pure brand has to be real.
Prime presents brand new series Keeping It Pure, Sunday.
It's Dollar Deals Week, this week at Countdown. With value hot roast chicken, size 14, excludes flavoured and macro, 2 for just $20. And New Zealand sweet corn, now 5 for $4. Don't miss this week's Dollar Deals, only at Countdown.
Summer's a great time for those outdoor projects. With Bunnings' low prices, we can make your garden look absolutely beautiful.
Solar power.
And it's Jamaica that have blinked first with the change. Beckford's coming on for Tristina Harwood, a goal attack. Tristina Harwood, who we talk so much about, alongside me, Tamsin Greenaway at the commentary position. And Tamsin, we'd spoken about Harwood in that first quarter, but Jamaica have made that change. We don't know if it's tactical or if there's an injury yet.
Yeah, well, you know, Jamaica were struggling. They're struggling getting out in the first phase of the centre pass, but I'm not sure that's down to the goal attack. They've got a lot of experience there with their wing attack and with Indeed Bryan. So I'm surprised they've made the change this early. You know, she's another young player, so I'd have kind of liked to give Beckford just a little bit more, just a little bit more chance, you know.
So Jamaica get us underway for the second quarter with that change then, a goal attack. Tristina Harwood off, Shanice Beckford on. Shanice Beckford, 18 years old as well. Jamaica have got youth throughout them, whereas New Zealand perhaps, we'll try and put this fairly, they don't have age on their side.
Age and it's experience that happens, you know. Yes, the youth, it's nice to get them on it, but I think you have to have this mixture through, and it just shows, it also shows the stages of netball. You know, in New Zealand, players play for a lot longer. They're getting paid out there to play semi-professionally. Happens in Australia as well, whereas Jamaica and England, they tend to stop a lot earlier, so you kind of start to see that difference in ages.
And when we talk about connections across the courts, you mentioned that they play out there professionally in New Zealand, and many of these players playing together on the same teams as well, and that creates those connections, those little passes where you have that intuition between each other.
Yeah, of course, that's helped, and they're playing against the world's best every single week, and that's helped massively. But it's also started to help Jamaica and England, because several of their players have started to go out to ANZ teams now, and they're bringing it back into their home countries, and it's proving the game worldwide.
Tamsin Greenaway, I hasten to say, former England player, still current, could be here in the future. Alongside me, Caroline Barker, here for Sky Sports Netball. Be part of it too. You can tweet us at Sky Netball. Already over a minute and a half into this second quarter, Tamsin, and just showing a bit more resilience, both sides.
Yeah, well, Jamaica have come out now. They're being a bit more patient. They have to understand, the minute they get the ball, they've got arms over from the Kiwis, and the Kiwis are tall, so it's all they're seeing is arms in front of them, and then they're having to go sideways a lot. But what they've got to do is get people taken on the drives and get some depth. Not necessarily use them, but it will open up the space a little bit more. But be patient, which is what we've just seen.
And that was the first scoring play of this quarter, as Jamaica get it back to 10-14, and New Zealand, if they're going to draw themselves out of this one, those are the sorts of opportunities they need to put away.
They're the sloppy ones, you know, they're the frustrating ones that the coach looks at the end of the game and go, we could have won by 10-15, but you kept us in a dogfight for the game, and top players shouldn't be doing that. same with this, it's sloppy, you know, there's ball on floor, there's nervous hands out there, and that's the pressure that the defence are putting on as well.
First real opportunity there for Shanice Beckford on a goal attack for Jamaica. Maybe looking to feed the ball in more to Fowler. Perhaps thought that she wasn't getting enough service in that first quarter.
I think they've got to give it a go. I think they've got to give it early. Because they're getting arms over in front of them, they can't see the feed clearly, so it's putting them off. But the only way they're going to stay in this game is if they use their strengths.
That was quicker from New Zealand. Positive in trying to feed that ball in, transitioning up through the court.
Yeah, they let that ball go a lot earlier, and New Zealand's got to do the same. When they hit the edge, they've got to give the ball. But they've got to be aware of the back defending Jamaican coming through, and at the moment they're worrying too much about that. So when they haven't given it, you've then got to go to a different option. Look at that split.
Quite a trademark, that split.
Yeah, and it makes it impossible. You know, she was on the edge of the circle, then she takes it, she what, got 2 meters?
Advantage breaking, wing defense, Jamaica.
Jamaica missing Romelda Aiken from this trip. She didn't travel through injury. Another one of their real star players, and there'd been noises about converting her to a defender as well. So you could have these 6'5", she's 6'5" Aiken. You could have her in defence, and then up the other end, Janelle Fowler at 6'6". Quite intimidating.
Oh, I'd like to see is Jamaica get them both working together in the circle, because that could be one frightening shooting circle.
You can make your comeback against that.
Yeah, feeding it.
Interesting slip on court. Jamaica.
Oh, that is exactly what New Zealand are all about. I'd have expected Jolene Henry to eat that alive. Brilliant. Yeah. Arms over on the player, setting up the zone, looking for the long swing so the back players can come flying through into it. That is New Zealand all over.
Just making sure she was first to the ball and tipping it out there, but we haven't really seen enough of that from New Zealand.
No, they're starting to set it up, and they're just getting their flow. Remember, usually they have Casey Kapoor on there, and she's out injured. She's their captain, one of the best defenders in the world, was in that top 10 list. Fortunately, had a little ankle niggle, and most of the defensive pressure is set up for her. Usually we see Katrina Grant in the goalkeeper position coming out for those flies. It's harder at goal defence because there's too much more going on. So I think they're going to grow as this game goes, but it's just full credit to their full court defence. The best team in the world at doing it.
Holding centre penalty.
Exasperation from Irene van Dijk there. She put her hands up at one point to say, right, who's ready for me? Who can I feed to?
Well, I think they can give her the ball.
Out of court, New Zealand.
Not there, though. I think what Irene van Dijk has to remember, she's feeling free, but the Jamaicans are running that backspace. They want that ball to be played there. So she's got to hold a better angle, or the feeder's got to look at it, fake it, and go elsewhere. And I don't think they're being smart enough about what they're doing with the ball and their body angles at the moment.
Bit of anger from Fowler then, just saying to the rest of her teammates, come on, these sloppy mistakes, need to cut them out. Often just trying to play the simple ball. Easier said than done.
Well, yeah, when you're out there and all you can see is a sea of black and a zone in front of you, and you can see players at the back wanting to fly on things, you do not want to give the ball.
So a timeout. Maria Tutae having a bit of attention there on court for New Zealand. 16-12 the lead to New Zealand. Well, there's some raised eyebrows from you there, Tamsin Greenaway.
Well, we're not allowed tactical timeouts in netball, Carolyn, but I'm thinking this might be one of those. She doesn't look too harsh to me. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair, but you know, New Zealand haven't particularly started this quarter with any flow, I wouldn't say. Defensively they're doing well, but in attack it's a bit sloppy. So I think they'll be discussing how they're going to feed that ball into the goal shooters.
And for that reason, they do cut out these injury timeouts. You're not allowed them constantly in netball, but they can be used wisely.
Yeah, you know, the second timeout they do a 30 seconds and you have to go straight off. So you can't, it's not basketball, you know, you can't be calling these timeouts willy-nilly. But I would say from that, they're not gelling particularly well. And with 16-12, like you say, when you've got somebody like Janelle Fowler against you, that 4-goal lead can be cut very, very quickly.
What's Oberon Fitzis and Nafti going to say to the Jamaica team at the moment? Just, you know, as you are?
Yeah, just some confidence. Be patient in the attack, but still make the moves. You can't be standing still. If you're in a space and you're free, you're being set up, so you've got to cut people off and make those moves. But be patient and look for Janelle Fowler. Give her that ball and make those defenders have to work.
And the gap is only 4, 16-12. New Zealand looking to open this up again. But if I were Oberon, I'd be fairly happy with the way that Jamaica have performed so far. As you say, just trying to refeed into that circle.
Completely. They've started really well in this quarter, and I think that timeout would have helped them as well, just to have a breather and reflect on what they've been doing for the first few minutes in this quarter.
Has that change worked?
I don't think it's particularly made a difference. You know, this is where they're struggling, bringing that ball through. You see Henry, that's a world-class player. She pulled out of that because she knew she wasn't getting it, but I don't think Beckford looks particularly confident at the moment.
Certainly seems to have not found her range, and New Zealand with Langman again, those fast hands, making sure Tutaye with those opportunities rarely misses.
That's better because Maria's running in the front space now, so she's getting those quick 1-2s, and it means the defenders are going to have to start coming feeding her, which will open up the back space for Irene. Sort of like a cat and mouse thing you're constantly doing in the attack end.
Jamaica won't want this one to run away, and that's why it was all important for Fowler to make that score count. 17-13 here at Wembley.
Contact, offside, wing attack.
From here in mid-court into the attacking third, just seems a bit more fluid for New Zealand at the moment.
Well, they're keeping the ball. They look more confident, but actually with their movement at the moment, it's very one person doing it. I don't particularly think they're working together well as a four, which is why they're having to pass the ball around so much. That is due credit as well. You can see Maria bending over there. You know, it's not necessarily clean in that circle. So when you're having to fight off people off the body and get a clean ball and give it and take it somewhere else, it becomes difficult. But if Jamaica stay in this game, they will do that a hell of a lot more to you as it goes on. Oh, I thought she had that. That was set up to go for.
But Jamaica managing to come away with it, and Fowler with those long-rangey arms.
Well, that was the confidence of Thompson, and I want to see her do that more. Get the ball up, throw it in, get it high. She's got a lovely feed on her and just trust herself. Even if she can't see it with the arms over, it's on. Trust me, she's still there.
Paula Thompson at centre for Jamaica, 29 years old. She's got that experience that we're talking about, trying to blend youth and experience throughout the team.
Yeah, definitely, and she'll help those players. She's a tough cookie, Paula is. She's been around a while and she knows what she's doing. Super fit as well. You can see from her physique there, she will run all game.
Quick transitioning again from New Zealand though.
But again, watch for the timing of Maria Tutaye coming in for that little pop. She's not standing there and getting humped. She's just coming in, getting a little pop ball, and she's nailing the shot, which means Jamaica have to start marking her, which will eventually open up this backspace. Oh, give the ball. Backspace for Irene van Dijk. It is on.
Langman being at the focus of everything is sometimes a dangerous game to play because, as you mentioned before, that they're feeding just to one person, relying on that one person.
Yeah, well, I think this is where Millie Lee, she's got to feel no pressure. That wing attack spot is for the taking. So, you know, I would like to see her come out here today and go, I've got two world-class shooters in there, just give the ball. Defensively, she's fantastic through the court, and that comes from her centre position. But I just think at the minute she's been very cagey on her feed.
Millie Lee's 24 years old, part of the Central Pulse set-up back home. One of those really strong teams in New Zealand.
That was great patient play from Jamaica. And what I loved about that is New Zealand, when they're zoning like this, they're trying to stop you coming through the middle. So they don't mind you going wide or going back up the court, but they don't want you coming through the middle. They worked it, cleared out like that, come through the middle because she came from deeper, and it opens it up completely. And they're getting back themselves in this game.
19-15 now the score. 5 minutes left of this second quarter. As we head into this final 5 minutes, Tamsin, who's got to make the bigger changes when we get to half-time?
Well, I think New Zealand will be frustrated with that final feed, and I don't think it's going to get much clearer than this. Even then, Laura Langman, she landed on the edge, she looked at it, and then gave it, which gave them time. I think they'll want Millie Lees to inject a bit more into that attacking as well and just trust herself. Defensively, I think they've been fantastic. Jamaica, again, it's the same. It's that trust, just letting the ball go.
Another timeout then. Jamaica, and this is Lynch receiving some attention. The goalkeeper for Jamaica, just 23 years old, one of those younger players that have been brought through by Oberon. And the coach for Jamaica straight in there, telling the players what she expects of them.
She won't be mixing her words either. She'll be telling them exactly what she thinks. You know, one of the great things about having a younger team out there is they have no fear, and that's something I love. So they're going out there, they don't care that Irene's 41 and she's been around and got all these caps. They're just getting stuck in. They don't care who you are. They just want to play and prove their point and get on. And the hassle is causing problems for New Zealand because they're not liking it, you know. They're having to shake people off their body. They're getting some little niggles. They're not getting easy ball into the circle, and it upsets players.
Bit of one-on-one coaching there as well with Shanice Beckford. She's the sub that obviously came on for Jamaica after that first quarter. Just perhaps telling her to have a bit more of that confidence, to puff out her chest and think that she deserves to be out there.
Yeah, definitely. It's what we were saying. You can't be playing with a more helpful goal shooter, you know. It's sort of get in there. They're not marking you particularly because they have to look at the double at Janelle as well. So, you know, make your drive strong, try and get some middle ball, let the feeds go and get in there and put a shot up.
We were seeing smiles all round from the New Zealand team as well. They seem fairly happy with how this second quarter's gone at the moment. 5 goals the difference, 20-15 New Zealand lead. 4 minutes and 37 left on the clock. It'll be Jamaica that get us back underway with this centre pass. Looking for those quick hands to feed the ball into the circle again for options as well, and really trying to feed Fowler.
That was better from Beckford. You see that she acted like she wanted the ball. One of the habits you can get into when you have a tall shooter is actually you hang out and you decide you don't want the ball. That was a great baseline drive from her.
And also it doesn't, yes, she didn't put the opportunity away, but when you know you've got Fowler under the post, you know you've got someone to follow up.
Exactly, and that's what you want to see.
Pause in contact, keep a parcel shot.
See, there's quite a bit of arms going on in that circle that start to get pulled now, so Tutaya and Irene just need to keep their angles strong. If they start rolling with people or curving with them, they might not always get those calls.
So they need to stand up straight.
Yeah. Oh.
Vanish contact, all defense. Vanish and slip.
That shows the skills that you need, because she needed to get that in one hand and get that out quickly then. But De Bruyne, again, is not small herself, so by her jumping that made her really think about what she was doing.
There's been a change for Jamaica as well at goalkeeper, so it was an honest injury there from the Jamaicans during that medical timeout. Wonder if we'll see Lynch play any further parts in this tri-series. It looked like she'd taken a bit of a nasty tumble, was having some ice applied to her knee as well. So Jamaica looking to regroup again.
She rescued her completely then. That ball from Paula Thompson was not on target, but her arm range, I think, gives her about 2 more foot.
Gives you another player, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A scene again then from Fowler. Barely even jumping, but the arms managed to get her hands on the end of that ball.
No, Fowler's still got so much to go, improve on, I suppose, is the word, because once she starts taking ball into space, once she starts learning to snatch this ball in, it's going to be very difficult to take it off her.
Janelle Fowler already rated across the world as well, most valuable player in the ANZ last season. You know, she's one of those that's really come through, and just 24 years old as well.
Yes, she made a real impact out there, which I'm not surprised. You know, she played for a Kiwi team as well, so she's in that kind of style where they off-mark, so they get the feed right and they put it into ball and space and let it go early. She's lethal out there.
And smashed every record going so far.
Yeah,
she's got a lot
that close to the post.
You can touch it. She's got a lot to go to live up to Irene van Dijk, of course.
That was a great change, timing by Irene van Dijk, and well seen by Maria Tatai to let that ball go early so no one could go. And because the goal defence is out, there was no one running the backspace. I'd like to see them do that a lot more, but is where they're receiving ball. Maria got it in a great position then.
A minute and 30 left of this second quarter then. 23-18 the lead. And a great turnover again for New Zealand.
Yeah, but a bad feed, you know, they're feeding it from further out. Full credit to what the Kiwis are making them do, and because of that, you are going to have an error rate. Oh, they're missing that backspace.
So what could they do to improve that area?
Well, I think it's just they're getting hooked into the front. They're worrying about the back defender coming in, which I can understand, but I think the backspace is on instantly when they land, but they're not they're afraid to give it, and then they look away. They only see the player in front of them, which is Maria, and Irene then opens up. So I think they've just got to change their vision.
45 seconds left then of this second quarter. A hand to the face there. They've nose rearrangement.
She's tough enough. She's given enough hands to the face in her time.
New Zealand, this side.
We mentioned about the psychology of New Zealand pulling ahead at the end of the first quarter. If they sunk that, it would have gone 25-18 up.
And it's the same thing. Think about the shots that we've gone on, you know, probably about 3 or 4. That's made a difference to sort of a 10-goal lead to what is only a 6-goal lead.
New Zealand looking for the final opportunity, but it's Jamaica that come away with the ball, and that's where they're oh so dangerous.
And if they can do that with 2 seconds to go, do it the whole quarter.
That would have been the perfect end for Jamaica, but not to be. 2 more quarters of it to come, though, and Jamaica oh so strong in those second quarters. But at the break, it's New Zealand with the lead, 24-18.
Long terms, you know, New Zealand won that quarter by 1.
New Zealand and Jamaica teams go back out onto court. We're seeing a couple of changes for both teams. I think Thompson's going to wing defence for Jamaica and McKellar on at centre for Jamaica. Bringing the New Zealand changes in just a few moments.
Contact centre. Manage offside, goal attack. Manage wing defensive structure.
Quite a number of changes for New Zealand. Jodie Brown's come in at goal attack. Shannon Francis at a wing attack. And Catherine Latu at goal shooter. Catherine Latu, Tamsin, one of those players that's had a lot talked about her going into this as well. Much made about her physical fitness and how she'd perhaps been fitter coming into the series than she has been of late.
Well, I think that's been through Kat's whole career, you know, and I feel a little bit sorry for her. She came across from, I think it was Samoa she played for New Zealand, but she's been playing out in the ANZ. And she's worked hard to get into this Kiwi side. There was a hell of a lot of pressure put on her that she was going to be the next. Well, that's one way. Oh, that's unlucky. Hell of a lot of pressure on her that she was going to be the next Irene van Dijk. And she's her own player. She doesn't actually play like Irene van Dijk. So I think that's a real shame that they put that on her. But, you know, then there's a lot talked about her physique and everything else and how fit she is. And I actually think Kat has proved all her critics by the way she plays. She's so strong on the take. She's such a quality shooter. And I think the more exposure she gets in New Zealand, the better player she'll become.
So the New Zealand coach, Wai Taumaunu, making those changes then for New Zealand, really trying to shake things up, perhaps not happy with how things had happened in those first 2 quarters. New Zealand went into the break 24-18 up. Jamaica pulled it back to 24-20. It'll take a while for those changes to settle in, though.
Yeah, but already I feel there's a bit more speed injected in. I've been impressed with how Francoise has come on at wing attack. You know, she's really trying to get out on the centre pass line. She's changing her pace, changing direction. Same in the circle. Kat Latu's got that backspace again, and you've seen her throw her hands up in frustration a couple of times because I think they're on. Be interesting to see how Jodie Brown fits in there now, because Tutayo, you know, was getting those clean rolls around the front, and I'm not sure Brown will have that same impact. So they're going to probably see a slightly change in that circle.
Shows the real strength and depth, though, that New Zealand undoubtedly have. And Kat Latu, we were watching her again before the match started, and nearly every one of the opportunities she had in the warm-up. I know it's warm-up, I know it's not pressure, but she put every single one away.
And that's the sign of a good shooter. You know, when there's no pressure on, you got to nail those shots. That feed again to Janelle. I'm really surprised that they haven't done more work on this, because she is their target. That's the way you're going to play. You're not going to get Janelle running around. So, you know, stand in the third and just lob balls at her for a while and get used to it. I know they've got arms over, but you're going to expect that from teams. That's the only way you can stop the easy feed in.
Randy's obstructing an offside in defense.
So it looks like Jamaica, the changes they made, were trying to really shore up their defence by bringing Thompson from centre into wing defence, and McCullough on at centre as well. Facey, goalkeeper, early on there was an injury in that second quarter, but just at the moment, and as she says that, you didn't go and make a mistake. But
you know, that was that late hang coming in from the keeper, from Lynch, and it just puts you off and you get caught into this replay. But what I'm liking from Latu now is, you know, if the keepers aren't going to throw the ball over the top, well then she's got to come forward. And both of those plays, those last plays, she's actually stepped and popped forward onto the ball. Started behind but popped forward so they can actually see her, and at least she's a target to give the ball in front.
That's better from Jamaica. That's what we wanted to see from the young goal attack, Shanice Beckford. That confidence to put her shoulders back and say, you know what, anything you can do, well, apart from the height-wise, Janelle Fowler, I can do too.
Yeah, definitely. And that's fair credit to her. She's playing through and she's trying to do it, but they need to do it time and time again. What I'm finding interesting is still how Jamaica haven't addressed the New Zealand centre pass. You know, they're still doing the 3-over, which is making it very difficult for them to come forward. So they've got to use their backup. But it doesn't seem to me that Kelly or Thompson have switched onto that and decided to come through and help their players out. And when you're under that pressure all the time, you need those backup players. Exactly the opposite to the Ferns. They've always got their backup players.
Fowler plucking that one, though, out of the air and bringing it back to 22-27. New Zealand trying to bring the ball back up, but it's Jamaica that will recycle it and come away with the ball. Looking for options, though, Jamaica, and that's one of the things they've struggled with those first two quarters. But the game just opening up a little bit more, and then you get a wayward pass.
Yeah, but they're not playing the zone particularly well. You know, when New Zealand set up the zone, it becomes like a square, wherever it is in court, a square or a diamond, and they're protecting the middle space. They don't want you to go in there. So somebody has to drive through it. You don't necessarily get the ball, but what happens is you take the defenders with you. And then, as that happens, somebody else opens up. At the minute, Jamaica look completely lost how to break down this zone, which is why New Zealand are getting easy ball off them.
New Zealand with those changes, seemingly paying off for them at the moment. Just opening up the court with 9 minutes still left of this third quarter, 28-22.
That was a better feed. She looked at it, she saw it was on, even with the arms over, got the ball nice and high off one arm into the space.
Randy's obstruction goal attack.
Bit of a forest of arms at the moment, and Latu just trying to make the ball stick underneath the post for New Zealand, but not quite coming off this time, and Jamaica will look to come away with the ball again, and frustration from Jamaica.
Yeah, because that sloppy play, just when they get themselves back into the game, about to go back to within 4, they go and do a replay ball. There's been so many poor hands tonight, but I really feel that's the pressure both teams are putting under. For the Kiwis, it's because Jamaica are tight on the body and they've got to get off their arms first. For Jamaica, they just can't see the space out there because they're not sure how to break down this zone.
When you go into matches like this and you know roughly how the opposition are going to play, how easy is it to change things up when you're in flow, when you're in that quarter?
It can't be done tonight. To break down the Kiwi zone is weeks of preparation, and even then some players don't get it because the timing has to be spot on, because these guys are so big. Even if one player goes and draws somebody, they can recover into the next space. So the ball has to be spot on in your time in working with somebody else. However, it can be done, but it's an art form and it's something they should have been working on.
And And one thing that hopefully is being picked up on the TVs at home are these little indications each of the New Zealand players give each other, little hand signals, little nudges, little eye contact that you can't pick up in the heat and in the speed of the game too, where they're always thinking and second judging.
Yeah, they're a tight unit, and they don't just go aimlessly chasing people around. They're constantly trying to set yourself up. Even then, you saw Katrina Grant. She stepped onto the goal attack to play back onto the goal shooter, and they're very, very good at that.
There's not a lot you can do to combat the strength and the height of Janelle, and she's in full flow.
Again, there seems to be a lot of pointless movement from New Zealand at the moment. Their timing is out. I'm really surprised at this. I thought there'd be a lot slicker in attack. You'd think that would be their area that they needed to focus on, especially with the Millie Lees coming in and Shannon Francois at wing attack. They don't seem to know where each other are going or playing off each other. Laura Langman's having to do a hell of a lot of work out there. It'll be interesting to see how much she's run tonight.
And why Taumano? She's had 2 matches against Scotland coming into this as well. It's not like they've come cold into this match too. They've had that preparation time.
Yes, but you know we're talking a different quality here. You're talking at the moment the top 4 or 5 teams are sitting away above the other teams in the world, and it's getting closer. And that's no discredit to Scotland, but you know New Zealand, Jamaica are a different class.
And that was proved by the scores. New Zealand thumping Scotland 72-18 in that first match. Bit of a tighter second match, 63-26. But here at Wembley, 31-25, the lead for New Zealand against a tough old Jamaica side. 4th they sit in those world standings, and New Zealand second at the moment, but a real ping pong between them and Australia, of course,
always
at the top. And England wanting to, and rightly so now, muscling in amongst them.
And a real chance this year as well, a real chance to be a world beater.
England-Jamaica is our next match for you on Sky Sports. That's tomorrow evening on Sky Sports 4.
What I'm finding interesting for New Zealand here, there's no real connection between the centre court and the shooter. So the centre court are getting it, and they haven't got an easy offload. And Jamaica are playing very well in terms of their cover in the first movement. When New Zealand change on the second movement, someone's playing into that next space, and then New Zealand are panicking and going elsewhere. And it's interesting to see they haven't necessarily done their homework either about how they're going to shake off players and where they're going to play into this backspace. I think they've done it very well defensively, which is why they're turning over so much ball.
Jamaica really need to make these moments count. Again, just a bit of frustration.
Janelle just snaps that off there. She said, right, you're not getting another go, I'm having a go now.
You've had your one shot.
Put it away.
Latau again, she's known for finding those gaps that can't often be found as well. So strong too.
She's mobile and she can hold. And she's learnt the split set from Irene as well, I see.
Latau then pulling it out to 33-27 now the lead, with just over 4 minutes of this third quarter remaining. Pretty much end to end at the moment. Jamaica just need to try and take advantage of some of those loose balls. And that's the difference with New Zealand, looking for options, Latau, then round and round and round again she went, and then eventually find those options to refeed it back in.
Yeah, well, and Jodie Brown not afraid to take the shot from there, and if you're not afraid to do that, then you know you're going to put the points away, and you don't get involved in all the hustle and bustle. You can tell Latau's getting annoyed in there. You can tell there's body because of facial. You have a look at her as it's coming down. There is hands on, there is body. They're going for everything. You know, that's not a clean take. She's coming directly behind her, but she still had a crack at it, which upsets your shooters after a while because you're constantly getting hit.
So at least she was putting pressure on that attack for New Zealand, which they need to do more of. Get in amongst them.
Definitely.
Jodie Brown then, coming on trying to prove her worth as well. We mentioned the Commonwealths, and is the last big test now for both these teams, really.
Yeah, it's a big year for netball. You know, we're in the 3rd year of a 4-year cycle. Next year we hit the World Champs, 2015. This year it's all about the Commonwealth Games.
And how does that balance out in something like the cycle that you mentioned there into the 3rd year of it? With your teams and your structure, bringing those young players through, knowing when to actually use them in the game to bring them through at the right time.
Yeah, you have to know it by now. You know, your first year, usually after the end of the 4-year cycle, you've had retirements, you've had people taking breaks, whatever. And that first year is sort of a building block where you go, okay, what is our next 4 years? Where do we need to strengthen? Is it the shooting end, the defensive end? Hoping it's not both ends. And you start bringing new blood through. And at this stage now, going into a big competition, going into a gold medal situation, you ought to know who your team is.
Latu certainly making her mark on this match. 36-30. There's a chance for Fowler to bring it back to 36-31. It is close.
It is, and you know, I felt then that the momentum was still with New Zealand. However, they're not pulling the score away, and they won't be happy with that because Jamaica are in with a sniff, but it's still the sloppy stuff, it's still that lack of connection in attack. And Jamaica, when they're patient, get into the edge, get in the feed in there to Janelle, works every time.
Medical timeout this time for New Zealand, just receiving a bit of attention to their goalkeeper at the moment. But we're seeing going into the break just why and the coaching team for New Zealand be quite strong, quite forceful for their team.
Yeah, I think they'll be frustrated. Look, they've just put in a new attacking combination, so you've got to give them time to gel. But you can see from here, both Y and Vicky Wilson are very direct. You don't mess with these two. Don't mess with Y when she's in one of those moves. She's not happy with how that attack end's gelling at the moment.
I was going to suggest we listened to a bit of that, but probably good we didn't. New Zealand then just regrouping, having another look at things. Langman, again, she's one of those players that plays every game, doesn't she? Approaching her 100 cappers as well for New Zealand. She's a real player that you need that consistency from, tends to lift the rest of the side.
Yeah, and she's on-court captain today because Casey's injured, and she's doing a great job, but there's a lot of pressure on her shoulders. You know, she's having to help the defensive end, help the attack end. I think we talked about the timing tonight. When you've got to shake players off, your timing is also important. And at the minute, I think they're trying to fight them rather play smart against them.
Yeah.
What seems to have been quite pleasing in this match is that we have seen very little of the umpire. We thought perhaps going into this 3rd quarter, a few more elbows, a bit more of that rougher side of the game coming in. But having said that, she goes and blows up.
No, you know what? There is definitely contact out there, and I'm not saying everything's clean. It's not for sure, but these players are strong, they're tough, and it's happening both ends. Like, let's not pretend that the Kiwis aren't getting stuck into Janelle as well. So I think because the game's so close, you've not got any stupid things going in. You've not got any big hits. It's just players niggling, trying to get that little upper hand.
50 seconds of the 3rd quarter left then, and where New Zealand had hoped they'd perhaps pull away in this quarter, Jamaica not letting them, not taking the chances, though Jamaica as well, when they've got that chance to close that gap once again, and New Zealand coming away with the ball.
That was special. Not seen enough of New Zealand doing that quick transition out, feed into their goal defence and wing defence coming down, the timing then into the shooting circle. That's when New Zealand are at their best.
20 seconds left on the clock.
And that's when Jamaica are at theirs, if she nails this. There we go.
And Fowler there, bringing it back to 37-32. That was all important, because New Zealand just looked to get their nose ahead then.
Yeah, definitely, and just holding up the play here. Oh!
And psychological from Latu. She says, I'm going to end this quarter. It's been pretty much her quarter as well. She's really flexed her muscle and shown what she can do when under pressure underneath that post. And she's one of those players. They made that change, New Zealand, going into the second half, into this 3rd quarter, and it's paid off.
Yeah, it's starting to get there. The connection is better, and that was a great pinpoint pass straight through the middle there from Brown, and that's how it should be done. Let the ball go.
Just watching why the coach of New Zealand just giving some instruction to her New Zealand team. At the end of the 2nd quarter, we saw a lot more smiles on that New Zealand bench. I don't think they're anxious, but perhaps there's plenty more to think about.
Well, that comes with the confidence of being the 2nd best team in the world. You know, they're not expecting to lose to Jamaica tonight, so they'll be sitting there going, oh, we're not doing doing this quite right, and we're not doing that quite right. So I don't think they look uncomfortable out there, but I think they need to start having a think about, you know, they're not particularly gelling well together in the attack end, so what are they going to do about it?
Jamaica very animated there. Oberon just telling her team what she expects from them. 38-32 at the break, heading into this final quarter. Seems to be, Tamsin, she's telling them just to think a bit more, use a bit more awareness, and some of those sloppy balls perhaps that they've let go, and those opportunities that they've missed.
Yeah, well, they're the frustrating things at an international level you don't want to see, because they make the difference, you know. 3 less drop balls from Jamaica from what we've seen tonight, or one of those shots under the post that had gone in, and they would be level. And that's the reality we're talking about here. And you can say it to players as much as you want, but they have to take some of that responsibility. And there's been some sloppy play from them. They're in this game, but they need to take it up to another level. I would love to see them come out really positive in this last quarter. Let ball go to Janelle Fowler even earlier, but they've got to realise where the space is. Get the goal attack in there, taking some shots, and keep the pressure on New Zealand.
And when Jamaica know they've got England awaiting them tomorrow night, how important is it that they get this game as close as they possibly can?
Yeah, of course it is. You know, they're facing a completely different style tomorrow, and it'll be interesting to see how they work with a rotating circle of Joe Hart and Pamela Cookie. So tonight the focus is on this, but, you know, all these 3 teams will be expecting no blowout games, because if they do, they're in trouble.
Why Talmano just looking through her team as well, let you know if there have been any changes in just a few moments. But it's really, as Tamsin was explaining, about trying to keep some sort of consistency to show their strength on court, as well as both teams come back out onto the court here at Wembley. The crowd have so far seen 3 quarters of high-intensity, quality netball, 38-32, heading into the final quarter. So Tamsin, both sides obviously got to come out with a bit more intensity. And for Jamaica, really a chance to put away some of those shots that they missed.
Yeah, definitely. And after this game, they'll address quite a few things, you know. And if they lose today, they can actually think of it quite positively, because they've not played well through the zone. They've not played well out on a 3-over on a centre pass. So for them, they can look at all this video and look at all these players and think, well, if we just, you know, touch up a bit on there, touch up a bit on that. I think Jamaica have got the most improvement to make, whereas the Kiwis, you know, some of their players are playing at their top level, but they're not playing well together.
No changes for New Zealand at the break, but a couple for Jamaica. McCullough's come on to wing attack. Khadija Williams at centre. Those areas you think, Tamsin, the right for the Jamaica to concentrate on, try and make those changes?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just looking at, there's a bit of hustle and bustle going on there. I don't think we heard the boos from the crowd as well from that centre pass. There was quite a few niggles going on. I think you can start to see that body now, because Jamaica are going to do everything they can to try and get back into this game.
And the more that your body tires towards the end of it, you try and use everything to your advantage, don't you?
The sloppier you get, and you know, it's hard. If they keep going close like this, they will go for things, and this is where you'll start to see these hits and these sort of holding and the bigger smashes.
8 now the gap, with 13 minutes just over of this match remaining. 40-32 the lead for New Zealand. And these are the opportunities we spoke about during the break, where Jamaica really need to feed that ball into Fowler, as they've done, and hope that she makes no mistake.
But even then, they didn't look. Like, the obvious thing there is when you've got a holding shooter with 2 defenders marking them, is the goal attack drives in the front space or the base and pulls one of the defenders off. Wing attack then stayed so focused on the goal attack. She only saw Janelle at the last second. I'm really intrigued to know what they're actually been working on.
McCullough at the change there, a wing attack for Jamaica. One of those reasons, again, we said about bedding into it and how long it takes to bed into a match. And if you do make those wholesale changes, it's going to disrupt your rhythm.
Yeah, but that's classic circle movement as well. You know, it's what you expect, especially when you play with this kind of play. You know, it'd be no surprise to them that teams are going to double on Janelle. So you got to work out how you're going to pull the defenders off, and at what timing does she then open up?
And McCullough is experienced as well, 27 years old, made her debut back in 2002. Was that frustration from you as much as on the
Because
court?
you want to see those things land, because when they land, they look really, really good, and when they don't, they look sloppy, because you go to Katlati, well, now you've just given us another, wasted another shooting opportunity. So loving the fact that she's popping the front space, because it's getting her off the body, it's making it so much cleaner, but just nail those little things.
The crowd needs some of those moments too, don't they?
Exactly.
Just to lift them.
Even with that, you know, Janelle rescued that ball, and it was a terrible pass, but she managed to flick it in. But the crowd want to see those land because it shows just the quality of these players.
I know it's all too easy sometimes to fire the ball in to Fowler, and that is kind of what is expected. But teams need to play to their strengths too. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, look, I'm not saying every single one's a long bomb. I'm get them to the edge of the circle, and then things open up. And the thing is, once you start getting quite a few balls into her, defensively everybody changes, which then you change in the attack end. You bring the goal attack into the game more. So it's having the quality to do both.
I don't know if you noticed that from Khadija Williams at centre for Jamaica. She flew into that one. Her whole body went, shall we say that? There was a little bit of contact. Just letting them know that you're there.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons this game's been scrappy tonight, is because, you know, the close-ups don't always show the stuff that's going on and off the ball, how much contact there is, how much holding there is, how much people are having to fight to get arms off them and stuff. You know, there's niggles all the time as I'm watching these players set up on the centre pass, and I don't think people appreciate, because we call it a non-contact sport, how much pressure there is.
We were seeing Oberon Pitson Natty, the Jamaica coach there, a shot of her quite motionless, and then all of a sudden almost a bark out onto the court when that frustration just boils over.
Exactly, you can't help it as a coach sometimes.
Offside.
Tamsin Greenaway alongside me in the commentary box. That moment there, those quick hands, Tamsin, that's what you want to see at this
That's pinpoint. Look, you can't do that for a full 60 minutes because it won't always land. But when it's on, that's the world-class centre to see that ball, which Laura Langman did there. But you know, it's few and far between at the moment, because the goal shooters and goal attacks aren't actually free, so that's the only option Laura Langman had.
And we mentioned Latu with that eye for a gap. That was a perfect moment there, perfect example of that.
Definitely.
Jamaica looking for options again, and there's the obvious option.
I think why you can look at that as well, that was far out, but she was in the centre of the court. When you're in the centre of the court, you can play both sides to Janelle. The wider you get, the harder that feed becomes, because the angle changes into the goal shooter. So Jamaica really want to work on getting the ball centrally, which is difficult when New Zealand are trying to stop you getting the ball centrally.
Around about 9 minutes of this match remaining. In just a few moments, I'll get you, Tamsin, to have a think about your player of the match. We won't get you to say who it is just yet, because we'll see the announcement made on court a little bit later on. So have a think about some of those standout players. Certainly been a few, and maybe not the ones we would have expected. We'll talk about that in just a few moments as New Zealand go to look to push forward again and extend this gap to 43-37 they move out to. Great awareness from Jamaica, feeding the ball into the circle, and Beckford, who's been quiet again in this quarter, making a bit of a nuisance of herself there.
Yeah, it's almost like she's grown in confidence, hasn't she? So maybe it was good to get her into the game early, so she actually had that opportunity to do that.
Fowler not always the kingpin then for Jamaica, and trying to make those options around her too. Great work again from Jamaica, but Lynch has gone down.
Lynch looks in a lot of pain down there.
Play continues around.
I'm surprised they
her.
haven't called it. Yeah, they've called a timeout now.
Sasha Gay Lynch taking an awful tumble for Jamaica in the circle.
It was off the ball, completely off the ball, because Callie in front of her had actually taken that intercept, and as play went, oh, we're going to see her. Oh, see the ankle go.
And she's not moving that right ankle.
No, if you have a look here at the land.
Great deal of pain.
Flick the ankle. Be interesting to know if she had that taped or got braces on, but.
And these are obviously sprung flaws, but an impact like that can really cause damage.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there'll be very few players out on that court tonight that haven't ruptured some kind of ligament in their ankle or their knee or their finger or whatever, because you're playing, you know, it's a ridiculous sport, to be honest, Caroline. You're running at full pace and then asking someone to stop at full pace because of the nature of the sport and the rules. So this is why the girls have to get in the gym, but you can't do anything about that. She's flicked it. That she'll be in a lot of pain with that.
So it looks like Jamaica will have to make a change again in that goalkeeper position.
Which is a shame, because I think Lynch was getting the better of Kat Latu. You know, they're not getting easy ball in there. She's you know, the reason she went down there, she was straight on Kat's body to try and intercept that ball and paid the price for it.
Real pain from Sasha Gay Lynch, just 23 years old, from Kingston in Jamaica. She's a real character in the team as well. Talks about how she loves socialising and laughing and being that member of the team that really lifts them.
Yeah, you know, Jamaica do have a lot of characters, and they have a lot of fun. They're a very close-knit team. You spend a lot of time together, and you know, they've always got a song and a dance when you're out there, and yeah, they've got sort of a great team camaraderie.
We're just seeing some more attention receiving at the moment, and coming onto the court, the stretcher to take Gay Lynch off. She's really struggling with this, but thankfully just getting to her feet, receiving a pat on the back from some of the New Zealand players as well. So we'll see the change made by Jamaica. Facey again coming on to replace Gay Lynch. And she's had a bit of game time already, but as you say, Gay Lynch really was just making the measure of Latu and really getting to grips with her.
Yeah, you can see with Fassi coming on, she's not quite as strong. She's a bit more young, a bit more naive. So, you know, Lynch was kind of controlling things back there and making it easy for Kelly out in front of her. Jodie Brown's not happy with that call.
Seems to be a place for falling down there just at the moment.
Well, I don't think she thinks she went down unaided.
Latu's just signalled over that there's a bit of sweat on the court, and that might have come from the earlier injury as well, and that could be one of the issues where they just had a little slip.
Yeah, people don't understand it. It gets really slippy out there on this floor when there's been some wet or some sweat landed on it. So it's important for the players. They're going at full speed, changing direction. They need the grip.
Some worried looks on the Jamaica bench. They've had to settle and go again a number of times in this match. 43-38, the lead at the moment.
You can see just that height mismatch there from Katrina Grant. You know, Leanna Brown went out there to get the ball lifted for her, but she came completely in the backspace. She was never going to win that ball unless she got around in front of Janelle Fowler, and you know, she had an extra foot on her, I suppose.
So a delay in this fourth quarter. 43-39, 7 minutes of the quarter remaining. Jamaica feeding that ball in well again to Fowler. And a couple of times their range has been off, but not so now. 43-40 and back to 3. Nervous times for New Zealand.
Yeah, well, they've just got unsettled, and I said it's those key things. Oh, but that was so much better from Kat Latu. She stepped forward on the first second, cut off the first defender. She rolled on the second, cut off the second defender, and then played in on the third second. And what was great about Langman, she didn't change her mind. She stayed with it and realised, and they just haven't done that well enough.
And that's where Latu's experience really showing. 27 years old. She may have made her debut for New Zealand in 2011, but used to play for Samoa, of course. So she's got that world experience that's all important.
Yeah, definitely. You can see the circle start to open up now with Fassi in there. And, you know, it's just a lack of experience from her now. Jodie Brown and Kat Latu have got so many more caps to her, and they've come on and they're now starting to open it up, whereas Sasha Gay Lynch just gave them that sort of stability in the back and gave that hassle to Latu that I don't think Fassi's giving as much now.
The Jamaican bench showing their frustration, trying to urge their team on to make some of those key intercepts, but it's not coming off for them at the moment. It's New Zealand that again open up that lead. It was down to 3. Back up to 6.
But you just show once that circle opens up, one key player can make such a difference. The circle's opened up. The last 3 plays from New Zealand have been so much more confident, and it looks like they're playing with a spare player.
5 minutes of this first match of the tri-series to go, and New Zealand with the upper hand, just making that experience tell, feeding the ball into the circle, looking for options. Latu just frustrated.
I don't like that stuff there from Jodie Brown. You know, she should have shot that shot. That's the silly stuff again. That, you know, they were going goal for goal against Australia. They wouldn't try. If you're going to do that stuff, you need to nail it.
Taking a bit more responsibility for it under the post as well.
Exactly.
which is exactly what Latu's done too. And they've got such incredible shooting options, New Zealand, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Look, to be able to take off Irene van Dijk and Maria Tutai and replace them with two other shooters and it still be effective, you know, it's incredible. There's not a lot of countries around the world that can do that. You know, Australia have got a full squad as well. England are getting there now, but it's impressive.
Replaying centre, free pass Jamaica.
Closing stages of this match then.
In the goal third.
For New Zealand, a bit of a break before they take on England on Monday at the Copper Box. Jamaica back here tomorrow night, and that's where those injuries will be key really for Jamaica. They've had a stiff old workout tonight.
Yeah, of course. You know, oh yes, that's what. You know what? We've probably seen that about 3 times tonight. You usually see that about 3 times, 4 times a quarter from New Zealand, completely setting it up. But again, I think that's been the loss of Casey Kapora tonight. But great from Katrina Grant. That's where you see her dangerous. That's what she usually does at goalkeeper. I feel she's been a bit lost out of goal defence tonight.
Turning the ball over, quick transition up the other end and making sure New Zealand, and that's the point at which the crowd back on their feet. That's what they want to see.
And of course they do. That's the exciting. That shows the players at their best, at the most athletic best.
Jamaica not out of this yet. Just under 4 minutes to go. 7 the gap.
I think she closed her eyes on that take, didn't she?
That reminded me of when I once fell in a bramble bush.
Almost the same.
Yes,
Yeah, almost
exactly the same sensation as playing international netball. So if I close my eyes, I'll be all right. Jamaica then coming away with the ball. Trying to feed into Fowler again.
Nice feed. Edge of the circle, nice high, lifted above her head. Again, we've seen that few and far between tonight.
She has a real calmness under the post, Janelle Fowler as well, which you would say comes with an experience not of her years, at just 24 years old, but it comes with playing with the best in the world and the best leagues in the world as well.
Yeah, I think it's down to her personality as well, and you know, she is kind of a calm, composed player. She knows what her job is, and there's no point getting involved in any of the other stuff that's going on there. You know, she doesn't really get phased when she's getting hit. She just kind of gets on with it.
But anything she can do, Latu can do too. 50-42 the score now.
Lovely ball. Been impressed with Thompson's feeding tonight. She's probably the only one that's got it right out of the whole team consistently.
And so important in that structure for Jamaica and making that feed work.
Looking again to thread that ball through, and when they pay off, they look brilliant.
The end result is still the same though.
Yeah, lucky ricochet.
Quick again from Jamaica.
Yeah, that was a nicer transition down the court, and it makes a difference because look, they get the ball into the post without any pressure on them. Too much have had to work too hard tonight because of their preparation on the centre pass and no penetration in the attack end. Oh. I think she was just letting Laura Langman know she was there, I think.
Hello. Remember me. Just seemed to put Latu off as well, but no mistake. The second attempt, 52-44. The gap out to 8 now. Puts a bit of gloss on it for New Zealand. Fowler making sure that doesn't last long.
Yeah, I think Jamaica had a real chance in this fourth quarter to get back in the game, and the minute Sasha Gay Lynch went off, it really blew out again for the Kiwis in these last few minutes.
3 names then, 30 seconds. Your 3 standout players, Tamsin.
3 standout players for me. Laura Langman, I think she's been a different class leading that. Paula Thompson on the Jamaican side. And then I suppose De Bruin on the Kiwi team, just for the work rate and the mixing up she's done on Janelle Fowler.
Not been spectacular, has it? But there's been plenty of work put in, and I guess as they're moving towards the Commonwealth, these are the experiences they need. And they'll certainly get tougher the further and the closer they get to those games. 25 seconds left then of this first test of the series, 52-46. And can New Zealand transition quickly through the court They've got 13 seconds left to try and make a mark. They'll be called back, though.
She's got to put that in.
Langman with the opportunity in. Can Lato put some gloss on it? She can't, and the hooter goes here at Wembley Stadium. So it's New Zealand who get this tri-series underway with a win. They get a rest before they face the might of England on Monday, while it's the England team who await Jamaica tomorrow on Sky Sports. Expect another thriller.
We are the police, and this is your badge then. Well, we're with the police.
This was no robbery.
He got off one shot before he took his second wound.
Kudos, Watson. Adequately done.
It's a life of boundless surprises, detective work.
You really are quite skilled, Watson.
No, I am dissecting a body in the